Welcome back, everyone. Next up, we have Priority Aviation, Inc. It trades on the OTC Pink sheets under the symbol PJET and has recently reorganized its business focus to concentrate on delivering university student life solutions, starting first with the app presented as the Airbnb of VRBO of student housing by owner, or SHBO. So attendees, please submit all your questions for Priority Aviation through this webinar module right now. Let's welcome its CEO, Stephen Rash. Welcome, Stephen.
Hi, Anna. Thank you very much for having me on today.
All right. I'm excited to hear about your presentation. Take it away.
Okay. We are basically, we've got a new business focus. The company used to be focused on in aviation, but now we've come up with a new focus, and this was in conjunction with our primary or major shareholder, ACI Conglomerated, which also is the major shareholder for USMJ and PIRA, which are two companies that we work closely with. And our management team that we're putting together is really coming out of ACI Conglomerated. So we're really closely knit, working with each other, but we're now going to be focusing on student living. And we want to make sure that we are really talking about the student housing that we have. There's 21 million U.S. students, and only 22% live on campus. So there's a big need for all of those students living off campus. There's over 5,000 U.S. universities, and only 10 are what we would call carbon neutral. The U.S. students have $376 billion in spending power, so you can see why we're looking at this market. And there's over 25,000 universities and over 500 million students worldwide. It's the student housing by owners, what we're calling it, because there's a definite shortage of student housing. As I said, there's 21 million students, but only 22 are covered on campus. So what we've come up with is a technology solution which is centered on a student housing by owner application. The development of the app is complete, and the app is now undergoing an internal quality review. The app is expected to be launched in production before the end of the year. Basically, what you'll do is it'll be just like a B&B. You'll go in, you'll be focused on universities, and then folks that have rooms or apartments or houses to rent, you'll be able to see that when you go on the app. So we think this is going to be a really great opportunity for us, because with Airbnb for student housing, there are more rooms than major hotel chains combined. That's how big Airbnb is becoming. Now we're going to focus on small universities. We already have found a pilot university, a small university here in Texas, which we're unable to disclose the name at this time, but we're working closely with them to finalize the development of this application there. In fact, we've already bought land outside the university, and we plan to build student housing apartments right outside the university, which we think is going to be really exciting. And our software solution, as I just mentioned, is finished. We're looking forward to introducing it here shortly. Now, we also have, we've already have architectural designs for the housing, which I just mentioned. We're going to be doing that in a small university here in Texas, which only has about 1,200 students. So it's going to be one that we can work on quickly and get the bugs out before we go to the larger universities around the country. But we're now working on the funding, as I just mentioned, for the apartments that we're going to be building. So we're really excited about where we're going and how we're going to get there. Now, the other part that's really interesting is we have just placed an order for electric scooters, which we are going to place at the university, which is our pilot site. We're working closely with another company called Alternate Systems, in which they are a supplier for us for the electric scooters, but we will be owning the application and the rights for what is going on for the EV vehicles on the university campuses and associated with our student housing. So we're real excited. That order has been placed. We're hoping for delivery shortly. So we're really excited about that. Now, on the PJET takeaway, we're really looking at a very large and underserved market. As I mentioned earlier, 22% campus housing coverage. Everyone, the other 78% live off campus. So there's $376 billion in existing market to tap into and redirect. And we hopefully that will be towards our buildings. It's innovation. The student housing and by owner is a lot like Airbnb. We have the brick and mortar pilot. We have the electrical vehicles, and we have the application, which we will be introducing by the end of the year. And when you look at sustainability, $9 billion market is growing to $41 billion over the next few years. 21 million U.S. students and 500 million global next generation proponent. So we see that we have a very, very great opportunity in a market that's been underserved. And with that, that concludes the actual presentation.
All right. Well, let's jump into some questions.
Okay.
Chris Hart wants to know, does the company plan to change its corporate name?
Yes, we do, since we're no longer in the aviation business. But right at the moment, it's not a priority. We're trying to build the business as our main priority at the present time. Name changes are a timely process these days. It takes quite a while to get through the regulatory and securities. And we're going to be evolving procedures and COVID impact as well. So investors will just have to deal with the name Priority Aviation for a little while.
Okay. Henry C. wants to know, where is the brick and mortar pilot?
Well, it's in a small university in a small town in Texas that we can get to within an hour from Dallas. But we can't disclose the pilot without first working it out with the university. The project itself is in the priorities right now for us. And we're not advertising where it is, but we will shortly. So just stay tuned and we'll let you know as soon as possible.
Craig B. wants to know, do you think the share price reflects the company's value?
Oh, absolutely not. But I'm a little on the biased side of that since I'm the CEO. But we think share prices are a funny thing these days between meme stocks and pre-revenue companies worth billions because the market somehow agrees to buy and sell.
Okay, so Eric Burgess wants to know, what is the revenue forecast for next year?
Well, we're calling it to be determined. Our IP and brick and mortar assets have value, and that value will be transformed into revenue in a number of ways. And that revenue can be scaled by expanding the revenue model to additional campuses. We will trial a number of revenue models before we decide what we believe the revenue goals will be. So you're just going to have to stay tuned for a while we figure this out as well and get through our pilots.
Kathy P. wants to know, who is your competition?
Well, we have not identified a direct competitor as of yet. We think there are some periphery operators that could reach into our market, but we haven't seen any indication that they intend to do so at this time. Those periphery operators could be candidates interested in acquiring what we have built. We'll continue to monitor in the competitive landscape. I'm sure that once word is out that someone is in here doing this, we'll attract some competition.
Casey Gardner says, are you going to do anything with cryptocurrency?
Probably. It just makes all the sense in the world because cryptocurrency is here to stay. It needs to be integrated into probably everyone's business strategies. We have a number of scenarios being evaluated. We'll just have to wait and see what we do. but probably the answer is yes.
Irv H asks, will ALYI or PJET own the electric motorcycle business?
We're going to own the university EV business. AYA is one of our vendors, as I mentioned earlier, and we were talking with ALYI about a number of strategies for expanding the current pilot and scaling it beyond the pilot stages. So it's going to take some time because we're just now entering into the pilot stages, and the pilot stages are going to tell us which way, in what direction we're going to be going.
Frange Wood asks, when will you change the name to be reflective of anything you do? We already addressed that, but let's talk about it now.
Quite frankly, that's not a priority for us at the moment. Getting our business plans and our brick and mortar models in place and the app in place are much more important. We'll probably be looking at this maybe 6 months down the road.
Okay. Doug Tran asks for you to explain how you went from aviation to student housing. Was this a traditional reverse merger?
No, there was no reverse merger whatsoever. PJET had been languishing for 10 years trying to be in the aviation business, and they basically ceased operations, and we've come in, been a complete restructuring of the company, and we focused on the student housing. We see it as a great opportunity, and we've got experience with some people in our company with brick and mortar. We've got plenty of experience in running small companies, which I have done many times. So we think we've got a team and a good idea and a concept, and we've got the pilots in place.
Sean Briggs wants to know, what do you have to coordinate with the university, if anything, to be accepted?
Well, that's a myriad of things that we have to do. One, we have to make sure the university understands what we're trying to do, and we're going to make sure that they understand that it's going to be affordable student housing, it's going to be sustainable, it's going to improve the student living opportunity and arrangement that the students now have, whether they're on campus or off campus. We're going to make sure that the off-campus experience is really going to be substantial for the students. And plus, we're going to have the electric scooters there because, everyone is moving to electric vehicles. So we think once the university fully understands everything we're trying to do and the benefits to the students and to the university, we'll be able to announce the first pilot. And then we'll go from there based on the success of the pilot.
Okay. Kelly Garner wants to know, what type of funding are you trying to obtain, debt or equity, and any convertible instruments?
I think it'll be a combination of all three, because in today's markets, you've got to have some debt, equity. You don't want to dilute the stock by having too much equity, and there will be convertible debentures as well. And there'll probably be some, in fact, I know there will be some preferred stock issued as well.
Jason Kovac has two questions. First question, do you have any plans to pay out dividends based on statements made through your ACI Conglomerated?
Not at the present time. No. That's down the road. We need to keep all the revenue streams and profits in-house so we can continue to grow the business and increase the revenue and share value.
He also asks, what is your role in other companies under American Cannabis Innovations Conglomerated that has acquired control of Priority Aviation, Inc.?
It's a good question. I'm also the CEO of USMJ, North American Cannabis Holdings. That's an e-commerce site where we're selling hemp and cannabis products, no marijuana. And we're closely related through ACI. And I'm one of the three principals in ACI Conglomerated.
Eric Henderson wants to know, what are your revenue projections for 2022 and 2023?
No, I think we just discussed that a little bit. It's too early to determine that. We want to make sure how well our pilot projects go. And then once we can see what that is, then we can project to how many other universities we think we'll be able to do in the 22-23 timeframe.
Okay. Oladapo Ogunsola asks, any plans for a reverse split?
No. Reverse splits don't work. I've been through them before, and they really do not work.
Scott,
your share price will go right back down to where it was before you did the split, and it won't take long.
Scott Pranky wants to know if you're waiting for funding on the brick and mortar project.
We are working on the funding now. We'll announce that as soon as we are able to complete the funding. But we're in the process of raising the funding for the project.
He also wants to know, has the increase of outstanding shares been part of the dividends payment plans?
Not at the present time, no.
Alex G asks, can investors anticipate more involvement of the other branches of ACI Conglomerated to be contributing to PJET?
Yes, it definitely will be, but to what extent, we don't know yet. We're still in those planning and discussion stages.
Jason Kovac asks, has the increase of outstanding shares been part of the dividends payment plans?
No, they have not.
He also wants to know, what is the company's home-based address and a good telephone number?
You can use the ACI, the 1-800 number that was published, and I don't have it right here in front of me because I can't remember all the phone numbers. But the address is 14333 Preston Road, Suite 904, Dallas, Texas. I'm trying to look for that phone number now. I certainly don't want to give them my personal phone number.
Well,
I get enough calls a day.
We understand. Eric Henderson wants to know, what's the process or lead time to bringing on additional sites?
That's something we're trying to figure out now, depending on how long it takes us to get the brick and mortar finalized and how well it's been accepted by the university. Then we'll be able to tell you how long it'll take to get to the next university or site.
Alex G asks, does ALYI currently have any stake in PJET? And do they anticipate doing so if the app EV pilot takes off?
At the present time, they do not have an interest in PJET. Now, whether that will change down the road, whether we'll have an interest in them or they'll have an interest in us, is to be determined.
Are there any patents currently in possession by PJET? And if so, what are they focused on?
Well, I think there'll be a patent on our application or the app that we're going to be using and developing. That will be the first one. And I'm not sure whether we can patent the actual student housing itself, but we'll see.
Candice Rivera asks, is your model the same model as Airbnb?
No, it's our own little model. I mean, it'll be similar to Airbnb because when you go on to Airbnb, you're looking for a place to stay. And the same thing when you go to a university, you use the application, you'll be able to locate a room or house or apartment that you want to live in.
Stephen, do you have any closing remarks?
No, I just want to thank you, Anna, and Emerging Growth for giving us the opportunity to come on and speak with you today and to talk to interested shareholders. And we look forward to having more discussions like this.
Good. Yes. Thank you so much for your time and presentation. Please join us again in the future with some updates.
Thank you, Anna. Have a great day.
All right. Thank you too. Okay, everyone, stay with us as we transition to the next company. We'll be right back.